No, get them out. Okay, we're going to start now with the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Okay, we're going to start now with the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Okay, we're going to start now with the Namo Tassa and the three refuges. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Okay, we're going to start now with the Namo Tassa and the three refuges. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Namo Tassa. Sean, can you help us out? Okay, we're going to start now with the Namo Tassa and the three refuges. John, can you help us out? Okay, we're going to start. Sorry about those technical difficulties there. Let's try it again. So we'll start with the three refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening Sutta study class. And this week we're continuing to look at the Maha Satipatthana Sutta. And in the last 2 weeks, we've been going over the section on mindfulness of the body. And last week, we covered the postures and the mindfulness and clear comprehension, awareness of movements and the 32 parts of the body, which was, basically focusing on the, the external aspects of the body, the conventional aspects of the body, the four postures or the different parts of the body and so on. Now in this next section, today we're going to start the section on the four elements. And this starts as sort of a deeper kind of analysis of the body, and it starts the section on developing a deeper level of awareness and the wisdom aspect. And in the sutta itself, it's very concise, but I'm going to be including some other aspects of contemplation of the four elements that the Buddha mentioned in another sutta. So again, after examining the body as the 32 parts of the body, and seeing how all of these parts are very useful in keeping the body, alive and keeping it warm and all these things, so that every part of the body has a very important use, even our teeth and nails and skin and hair, the head and so on. But they're all subject to impermanence. And of course, we get very attached to those parts of the body. And so, whenever you see somebody's body or your own body, the first thing you see is either the hair, the skin, and the teeth, the fingernails and so on. And these are what people get attached to. And they're always saying, oh, what beautiful hair you have, what beautiful teeth you have, skin you have. And so on, and people paint all these things up, their nails and so on, and there's spend billions of dollars just keeping these external parts of the body and attractive and so on. But this next section goes deeper than that, and so I'm going to just read this section. Hopefully you've read it all already. So again, a monk reviews this body, however it may be placed or disposed, in terms of the elements. There are in this body the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element. Just as if a skilled butcher or his assistant, having slaughtered a cow, were to sit at a crossroads with the carcass divided into portions, so a monk or a person reviews this very body in terms of the elements. There is in this body the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element. So he abides contemplating the body as a body internally, and he abides contemplating externally, or he abides contemplating both internally and externally. And he abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. And that, monks, is how a monk abides contemplating the body as a body. Now, just reading it on these, saying in this body there's the air element, earth element, water element, fire element. Now that's kind of vague, right? I mean, to an educated person or somebody who's not familiar with the Dhamma, they wouldn't know what you're talking about, or vaguely. So, so it takes some explanation to try to understand that, of course. And so I'm going to include some section of the Rahula Vada Sutta, which is in the Majjhima Nikaya number 62. And we've gone over this last year. This was one of the suttas. When we were going over the Majjhima Nikaya, we covered this sutta also. So it's in one of the past, recordings. But it's one of the best descriptions of how to actually contemplate the four elements, because just what we read there, it's not very clear, and a person would have difficulty really. How do I meditate on that? What do we need there? Earth element. What is this? So the Buddha is explaining in more detail what it means, what these four elements mean, and so. And it's this sutta to his son Rahula is in this section on the elements. There's two ways of meditating on the four elements. But before we start on that, basically these elements are vibrations. So, and we have to step back to see, what actually is this body made up of, okay? So looking at it from the outside, and we touch it and we feel the things that are hard and We see it and smell it and so on. But what actually, is it comprised of? So we all know that this material body is basically just billions of cells. And cells are comprised of, thousands or millions of molecules. And then you have, of course, DNA, and you have other things. And ultimately, you break it down even further, and molecules are made up of atoms. And each atom is distinguished by how many electrons are going around the atom. So if you follow that kind of biologic breakdown, what this body is made up of, or any material object, but we'll take this body because that's what we're focusing on, is just electrons, probably trillions and trillions of electrons. And why is it called electron? Because basically it's energy. And so, 3 or 4 or 10 or 12, electrons around a certain atoms, give it its certain character. And then these atoms take on an appearance of being something solid, or they take on the appearance of being something fluid, like water. A hydrogen atom has, I don't know how many electrons it has, but anyway, depending on the makeup, the quantity of electrons and going around the atoms, and then how many atoms go together to make up a molecule, it then becomes like a water or a liquid, or it becomes a solid, something more solid, like a skin cell, or a bone, and so on. So I'm just saying this to kind of try to, set an understanding here that essentially these 4 elements are what I prefer to call vibrations. And so what we feel, and when we feel the body, we say we feel the body, but actually what you're feeling through the skin sense are just vibrations. And then based on the memory of that vibration and so on, and language, we call it, that's my toe, that's my finger, that's my knee, that's my eye. But those are, perceptions and mental activity. So anyway, so all forms of matter and this body is basically just comprised of, cells, electrons, atoms, cells, and then the body that we actually see. You can't see a cell except under a microscope, but when thousands or millions of them get together, then you can actually, see something with the naked eye. And this is important for understanding the nature of perception and the nature of illusion also. So I hope you can kind of follow this train of thought, because it's a very deep aspect of wisdom, and especially in understanding the nature of illusion and how the self is created and so on, or the world creating process. So anyway, so the Buddha tells his son Rahula in the sutta that the earth element is whatever in the body is tangible or feelable and is recognized as belonging to me. And then he says, this earth element in the body are things like flesh, teeth, bones, anything that you can feel, that you then identify as saying, oh, that's my, knee, that's my leg, that's my hand, that's my teeth, that's my eye, anything that's tangible that you can actually kind of feel and has hardness. That's why the earth element has the quality of being kind of hard or pressure. Like when you press your skin with your finger, you feel a pressure or kind of a hardness, or you feel your buttocks pressing the seat, right? So that's what's called the earth vibration, the feeling of hardness or extension in space. So whatever is internal in yourself that you identify as being, myself, that is the internal earth element. And then he says the same thing for whatever internal and identify as being part of you or your body, such as mucus, urine, tears, saliva, sweat, blood, urine. These are the internal water element because they have a fluid nature. So the fluidity gives it, that's why they call it the water element, because water is fluid, right? So it's not actually water, but it's the fluid nature. And so like if I feel something fluid like a tear, let's say your eyes are closed and, for some reason a tear wells up and runs down, you identify that as being, oh, that's a tear. And then that tear is coming out of my eye. That's me. That's, the mind identifies it. So internal and perceived as belonging to you, that's the internal, let's say, the water element. Or let's say you feel a full bladder. You have the urge to, urinate. Okay, so the mind is creating this idea of, because it feels something, you may not feel fluid at that point, but and so the same thing for the fire element. Whatever causes heat in the body, like for the digestion, or you get a fever, and there's the heat that's produced in the body, that's the internal heat element. But again, it's a vibration. Heat is just a vibration. Cold is a vibration. And the heat element is actually any range of temperature. So even when you're feeling cold, that's the heat element, but gone down to a lower level. But you identify these as happening or belonging to this body that you then cling to. But actually, what you actually experience is just this initial vibration. Because when you're meditating, your eyes are closed. And so basically, you're just feeling all these different sensations in the body are one or other of these elements. And then, of course, the air element. So you feel the air going in and out of your body. Let's say you're on the Anapanasati, you feel the touch of air, or you're feeling the expanding and contracting of your lungs. So that is, then you recognize that's the air going in and out of the body. Or you let some air out of your rear end, right? And so that's air coming out of the body, because there's a lot of air within the body. You belch, you have air in your stomach or your bowels, and it comes out. That's also the air element. And, but you don't call it that. You say, oh, I've farted, excuse my language. So, but it's just the air element. So that's so far there was the earth element. That's the, bones and flesh and all the things that, we normally associate with the body. But then there's the water element. And this body is actually about 80% water. Even, so there's a lot of water in the body. And then also the air and then the temperature. And then there's a fifth element that's not mentioned in the Satipatthana Sutta, but it's mentioned in other places, and even in this sutta to Venerable Rahula, the Buddha's son, the space element. So there's a fifth element called the space element, and even that, these are things we identify as belonging to the body, like the cavity in your mouth, right? So, your mouth is closed, but you can feel the tongue in the mouth, and there's space, you can move it around. So, there's space in the mouth. That's the space element. Or within your ear, or within your bowel. There's space between the cells. So that's different than the air element. But we identify that because you say you can feel the space in your mouth, and you say, that's my mouth, the tongue's in my mouth. But it's that vibration that identifies, that then turns into a perception. So basically what I'm trying to get at in this explanation is that these four elements are basically just vibrations of, energy. Because again, even in any, biologist or chemist or, scientist knows that the body is also just made up of these, of this energy, and it can be, disintegrate very easily, and all these elements go back to their respective areas. The earth element goes into the earth. This body, can be composted and so on. So anyway, this is a way of meditating. That whenever you feel something in the body, you try not to say, oh, that's my foot, that's my ear, that's my eye, because these are perceptions. And so just as with the 32 body parts, you're not calling your hand your body, you're saying this is a hand. Well, that's a foot, that's a shoulder, that's an ear, and so on. Different parts go to make up what we call the body. But actually, there's no such thing as a body apart from the parts, right? So this is just a way of kind of contemplating and trying to see how even the idea of a body is a concept only when all the parts are there and functioning, that we get attached to it. But when you take away all the parts and you see them scattered around, you're no longer attached to it. You're no longer saying that's my body. So in the same way, this four elements is taking that to the next level in getting away from even body parts, because a person can still be attached to a body part. Their hand gets severed. Oh, my hand got severed. I want my hand back. Come on, doctor, sew it back on. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying we still can get attached to the body parts. But with the four elements, it's breaking it down to a point where there's nothing really that you can cling to. It's breaking down to something that the average person cannot even see, and so on. So it's a special type of training. whenever you're feeling anything in the body, it's just the earth element, the earth vibration, or the water vibration, or the heat vibration. Let's say, all of a sudden you start feeling hot. Oh, I'm sick, the body's hot. Oh, it's just the heat element. And and so, this is a way of, getting beyond the perception. So in the actual experience, in our cognitive experience, when we meditate, the only thing that we can truly experience through the senses are vibrations. Even when you hear a sound, you're just hearing a sound vibration. But because of memory and because of language, all these different vibrations are remembered in the brain, in the memory, and they match up just like a computer. I mean, I've talked about this quite a number of times in the past. And how the mind then takes this vibration and then creates it into an object, calling it a particular kind of object. And that's when we start to get attached to the object, or we start to like certain objects that give us pleasurable feeling, and certain objects that give us the painful feeling we develop aversion to. So it's important for understanding how the mental process has evolved from just the basic experience of the pure vibration and having our mindfulness there to prevent the mind turning that vibration into an object that then you would get attached to and identify as me or mine or myself. And then you start worrying about it. Oh, I'm going to get sick with this and this and that, and so on. Of course, we have to do that basically in a normal life to survive. But again, this is an aspect of meditation. We're talking about meditation, and we're talking about the Dhamma and something very, very deep. And so, and especially on how to understand how we've become attached to, the world of so many different types of objects. But when in reality, they're just comprised of cells, molecules, atoms, and electrons, and everything is basically just, electromagnetic energy. So this is what the Buddha, you have to kind of infer, or you have to kind of, contemplate and take it a step further. But you can see that in the sutta, so in the actual Satipatthana Sutta, the elements are just mentioned as just those four elements. So it's not that easy to actually meditate on it. That's why people kind of just give it a short shrift, and they get confused as to how to meditate on that. That's why I prefer to call them the vibrations, the four vibrations: the vibration of hardness, vibration of fluidity, vibration of temperature, the vibration of movement. And this is why, the developing the body scan and the contemplation of when you're, centered in the body and just feeling these sensations. So and all these sensations or vibrations, again, we some of them are what we consider pleasant vibrations, and others are considered painful vibrations. But again, it was how the idea of a body is created in the mind through creating these elements, or these, through the vibrations, allowing the mind to create through the 5 aggregates, the feeling. So the vibrations are the material aggregate. So, if you're contemplating the 5 aggregates, then whatever vibration, whether it's a vibration in the body, or it's a sound you're hearing, or it's something you're seeing, or smelling, or tasting, that is the form aggregate. That means the aggregate of vibrations, or the 4 elemental vibrations. And then they're felt. Some of them are felt as pleasant, some of them are felt as painful, and many of them are felt as neutral. And then you perceive them. That means you turn the essential amorphous vibration, energy vibration, into an object. A perception, which is a perception, like you see a face, or you call it an object. And then you get attached to it. Then the sankharas get attached and react to the object. But it all starts at this sort of atomic, what I like to call the atomic level of awareness. And it's a definite mental training. And you can actually get a good kind of feeling for that, especially if you have a good sense of vibrations in the body. Now, a lot of people, they don't have much, they can't feel too much vibrations. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage and have people practice yoga before meditation. Because when you're practicing yoga, you kind of activate those cellular vibrations. And in doing deep breathing, deep, slow breathing, you oxygenate the blood, so you charge up the cells of the body, so they have more vibration. But a lot of people, they have poor circulation, or they, their cells are kind of half dead. So they may not have much feeling in the body. And that's why the mind wanders. It wants to think about other people's bodies, or things outside of themselves. Or it goes to sleep, it gets bored, nothing to feel. But that's why, doing the body scan and mindfulness of the body is all the previous sections that we talked about were about learning how to keep the mind grounded and centered in the body. And the longer you do that, you come to feel these subtler vibrations that then you can identify and see how, the earth, the feelings of hardness, and the fluidity, the heat, and the motion, and training the mind to just, this is the earth vibration, the water vibration, heat vibration. So it involves a certain amount of this intellectual investigation. So this is a scientific investigation. This is when it really starts becoming a scientific investigation. Before it was more just a biologic investigation, right? But now it's actually going down to a very deeper level, like physics, and seeing that this body is just energy vibrations. And so you're developing this kind of what's called a Suttamaya Panya, the sort of the, well, the intellectual understanding and then the reflective understanding. When you're in deep meditation and you're just feeling, all these subtle vibrations, and you've developed a level of concentration where you're no longer reacting to these vibrations, and you've training the mind as is just these types of vibrations, then the mind won't so quickly develop these concepts of, oh, that's my this, that's my that, oh, I got a pain here, I got a pain here. You're seeing things as only these vibrations, or here's a painful feeling, a pleasant feeling, but they're they're not me, not mine, not myself. Now, so that is one of these, what I mentioned in the beginning, one of the types of contemplations that these four elements lead to. And this was actually one of my favorite and most powerful forms of contemplation of the body when I was a young monk. I got very good deep insights doing this four-element contemplation, because it goes beyond concepts of body parts and everything else, or even postures. There's nothing you can really get attached to, because it's just amorphous vibrations that really don't mean anything apart from your mind. And so the monk abides, contemplating internally. He knows that internally in his own body, it's just atoms, cells, molecules, atoms, vibrations. And the other people outside, everybody's body is the same. And so there's nothing to cling to. And I'll just relate or repeat a very well-known story in the Buddhist text about, there was one monk who had been meditating on the earth element. And so the bones are part of the earth element meditation. And so he was using some bones, and he was contemplating and said, yeah, inside this body is just bones. Going like with X-ray vision, right? So he was developing this insight. And then he was going down the hill one day. This was in Sri Lanka, near Anuradhapura, to go for his collecting alms in the village. So he was keeping his meditation subject in front of his mind as he was mindfully going in toward the village. And then he heard a noise coming toward him. And so he looked up, before the monks were kind of had their gaze on the ground when they were walking for alms. And so he heard this noise getting quite close, and he happened to just look up, and this lady had come running out of the village, trying to get away from her husband, I think. Maybe she was being abused or something. She came running out of the village, and she saw the monk. Maybe she knew the monk from before. And so she smiled. And when she smiled, her white teeth, that's all the monk saw. He only saw the white teeth from her smile. He wasn't focusing on any other part of the body. He only saw these bones. And he developed, he stopped right there and developed this insight into, everything is just bones. Everything is just, unrecognizable, vibrations, matter, whatever. And he attained arhatship, it said. And then the lady kept running, and the monk kept going toward the village. And then the husband came out a few minutes later, came running up to the monk and said, "Oh, Venerable Sir, did you see my wife run by, go by?" And the monk replied, "Man, woman, a beast, I don't know. I only saw some bones go by." You see? And you can't get attached to bones, right? Now, if I said, "Oh, I saw your wife. Yeah, she just took a bath. She smelled very nice. She had nice black hair." He could have got attached to that. But instead, he only saw bones, the earth element. So that is, and it led to his enlightenment, his gaining enlightenment. So it's not a joke. This kind of meditation is not a joke. It's very powerful if one knows how to do it properly. So anyway, I just mentioned that story because it's a well-known story, but it's a very important example of how one can actually attain enlightenment through this contemplation of the elements. Now, as I mentioned, that's one of the types of meditation on the four elements that the Buddha taught his son, Rahula. Now I'm going to mention the second one, in which the Buddha told his son Rahula, develop the mind like the earth, develop the mind like the water, develop the mind like fire, develop the mind like air, develop the mind like space. He had added the space element. Because we can get attached to the space, yeah. Oh, inside my mouth, there's this and this and that, or inside my nose, there's boogers inside my nose, or whatever. So, we get attached to the spaces, even on the body. So what does that mean? Develop the mind like the earth. Because on the earth, you can throw anything onto the earth, whether it's dirty things or clean things. You can throw a nice smelling lotus flower on the earth, or you can pee or defecate on the earth, but the earth is not going to complain. The earth is not going to say, "Oh, I want only the flowers thrown on the earth. I don't want these other dirty things thrown on the earth." Or you can bury even these putrid bodies in the earth. The earth doesn't say, "No, don't put that in me." So the same way, we develop our mind like the earth element. So that means it doesn't get disturbed when you get some pain, or you get a fly lands on you, or some other irritation. The mind doesn't move. It stays firm like the earth. So like the ability to tolerate pains, and to tolerate sounds and any of the sensory objects. So that's another way of meditating on the four elements. Or make your mind like water. So whatever, water is fluid. Whatever you pour water into it, it naturally takes the shape of whatever you poured it into. It doesn't say, "No, don't do that." It just flows. Or you can also throw clean things into the water, dirty things into the water, and it also doesn't, it accepts them all equally. And then with the fire. The fire also, you can throw clean things into the fire, dirty things into the fire, and it burns them all up. And with the wind will blow anything away as well. It'll blow away unpleasant smells or pleasant smells or odors and so on. So the import, the meaning of this kind of meditation, make your mind like earth, water, fire, or air. It means basically developing that kind of equanimity and the insight that goes with knowing that whatever happens to this body, whatever comes through your senses, are simply, in the ultimate breakdown, just vibrations. And these vibrations, they're not me, not mine, not myself. They don't belong to anybody. And you try not to conceive them and to develop the perceptions of them. So basically, it means developing a tolerance to withstand even unpleasant sounds, people talking badly to you, or any of the other senses. The mind is not allowing itself to get affected either with like or dislike to any of these objects. So the meditation on the four elements helps to develop this frame of mind and to actually change the vibration of our consciousness, in fact. So those are the actual two ways, actually sort of methods of meditation, of meditating on the four elements. Now, somebody might come up with a different method, but these are the two that were mentioned by the Buddha in the various suttas, especially that advice to his son Rahula. Because actually that story is interesting. Rahula was only 7 or 8 years old, when the Buddha came to see his son for the first time, or after 7 years after he left home. And then the Rahula was gazing at his father's body, the Buddha's body, which had a golden hue and looked very, very majestic and nice. And he was admiring the body and getting attached. Oh, that's my daddy, and then then that's when the Buddha sat him down and told him, to meditate on these elements. So that's the way that we can use that. And especially the one of just seeing things as vibrations. That's why in many of my guided meditations, that's one of the key things that I have people try to feel, and why doing the yoga exercise and breathing at the beginning, when you first down to sit, then they're more active and you have more to kind of feel. And a lot of them are pleasant, actually. And you can get a sense of how, these things are just vibrations. Or when you go through the body, scan through the body, and you're feeling the vibrations in your foot or your hand or your buttocks or the clothes touching the skin, to develop this idea that these are just vibrations. And to understand that these are basically just these, the cellular vibrations, atomic vibrations. And you can develop a very deep level of, awareness and insight, and then actually get that experience where you get an experience when the feeling of the hard body actually just kind of expands and gets very kind of nebulous, and you feel like you're just a bag of empty air or something, or just vibrations, and the hard edges of the body and all the pains that normally would have been there if you're identifying it as me and mine, and all those momentarily vanish. And that's because the mind has actually assumed that is conformed to that insight. That's what actually is what's called conformity knowledge, that the mind is conforming to that understanding that you had been studying before. So anyway, so that's how we can develop these types of meditations. So I think I've gone on that for long enough, and so like the monk in Anuradhapura coming down, we train ourselves. Whenever you're looking at things, you understand that underneath the superficial appearances, what we're actually coming to the senses are just vibrations, and the mind and perception, the mental process is what's creating things that appear to be separate from us and appear to have independent kind of existence. Okay. Now let's see if there's any questions maybe that somebody might have on some of that. Okay. After understanding the true nature of this phenomena, the next step is to understand the changing nature of it, the decay, which leads to dispassion and disenchantment, which also loosen our clinging. Absolutely, yes. Because when you're feeling the vibration, that's what you're feeling. They're always changing. I mean, they're all changing, arising and vanishing, all these sensations. When you're keeping your attention focused on the sensations, that's all they are, is just a massive change. Although some appear to be lasting longer, but actually, if you look closer, they're changing even while they're seeming to last, but they're changing on deeper and deeper levels that we may not be able to actually experience, because we're talking about atomic level, and only somebody who's in the fourth jhana might be able to see that kind of atomic level of change going on, but not in lesser levels of concentration. And so that leads to the disenchantment that the only reason we're enchanted with things because we think they're real and permanent. But when you see ultimately how the mind has been conned into getting attached to all these things that ultimately bring suffering and cannot be satisfied, you become disenchanted. You become disenchanted with the mind, with the delusion and the ignorance. That's what you become disenchanted. And so that loses the clinging, because when the mind stops clinging, there's a higher and deeper level of satisfaction and fulfillment that comes out of that. But it's very difficult for the average person to understand that. That's why, only in meditation can you understand these things. It says, this next question is, or a comment. I use the vibrational energy of the body to assist in reaching the jhanas. It works. Well, that's right. It does work. If you practice these methods, they work. Most people practice it once or twice and they expect to get quick results, and it might not work so clearly for them. But again, yes, you can attain the jhanas through these four-element contemplations too. But more importantly than just attaining the jhanas is attaining stream entry. And don't be so obsessed with the jhanas, but attaining stream entry. And it's the insight into emptiness that helps you to attain stream entry in the following levels. But of course, the jhanas are instrumental in helping one to develop the insights. The jhanas themselves are not helpful unless they lead to the insights that lead to realization, that lead to the paths and fruits. Otherwise, so many people practice ordinary concentration. That's why the jhanas are called right concentration. If it to be called the Buddhist jhanas, it's got to be balanced with the insight. Okay. So, well, that was the last of the.
Bhante, do you see my question?
Which one?
I put a question right. That was the first one about Rahula.
Oh, I didn't understand how San Rahula comes into this, because I told that the Buddha gave this one discourse to his son Rahula when he visited his hometown, and taught him this meditation on the elements as well as anapanasati and so on. So this is not part of, he doesn't come into the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. I was, explaining parts of the Buddha's instructions on how to actually meditate that he gave to his son Rahula. So anyway, I think our time is kind of getting away, and in our meditation shortly, I'm going to, encourage you to kind of work with this kind of contemplation. So we'll go ahead and have a little short few minutes to have a break, and then come back and do a few stretches, and then our meditation. Okay? Okay. See you back in a few minutes. Okay, friends, so begin the yoga now. Stand straight. Just relax your arms and hands at the sides. Just gently close your eyes. Just focus your attention where your feet press the floor. Try to feel or imagine that weight of the body pressing the floor. Feel that contact, the bottoms of your feet with the floor. That feeling of pressure or something being hard or solid. That's the earth vibration. Just let the mind move up the body, feeling even where the clothing touches the skin of the body. That's also the earth vibration. Feeling your hands, arms, and the head. Most of those vibrations you feel are the earth vibrations. You may now begin some deep, slow breathing to feel the air vibration. Take a few seconds to take a deep breath. Feel that movement of the chest that's caused by the air element. On the out breath, also the air element going out of the body. Just take a few more deep, slow breaths like that, feeling that air element. It goes through the nostrils into the lungs. Just thinking like this. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. And now we'll combine this deep, slow breathing with the movements, repeating each one 3 times. So you can open the eyes to kind of follow me through the movements. So on the next in-breath, raise your arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, arch your spine a little bit. Feel the sensation. On the out breath, turn the hands down and touch the top of your head. Again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms. Bend back a little bit, stretch up. Out breath, touch the head. And 3rd time, in breath. Hold that upward stretch longer. Feel the sensations, the vibration. Now release the fingers. The out breath, arms back to the sides. And just relax. Just keep focused in the body. Feel the increased vibration. So when I say sensation, actually sensation, vibration is the same thing. And just imagine this vibration. Vibrations of the hands and fingers, the blood pulsing, tingling sensation, where the clothing may touch the arm, the body. Just remember standing, standing. Actually, you can do several different meditations at one time. The posture awareness, the breathing awareness, the element awareness. Okay, next on an in-breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms up over the head and this way, facing the hands toward each other and stretch. Out breath, come back down. Feel that air element go out of the body. In breath, air element coming into the body, causing movement. Out breath. Once more, in. Out. Relax. And just keep feeling the vibrations. Develop this idea of just vibration. Not this or that body part, just vibration. Even little itching or stinging sensations. They're also just vibrations. The earth vibrations and the air vibrations are probably the most frequent. Okay, next we'll do knee bending. So on the in-breath, again, lift up on the toes and raise the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees and lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. In. Out. In. The out-breath, relax. Just feel the increased vibrations, the heart beating, blood pulsing, clothing touching the skin. Any aches or pain, those are also just vibrations producing painful or pleasant sensations. Be aware of standing, standing, present moment awareness, grounded in the body. Okay, now spread the feet apart. We'll do the twisting from side to side, holding the arms out. Breathe in. On the out breath, look to the right, and twist to the right, keeping the eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath, back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body, and the left side with the out breath. In. Out. In. Out. In. Once more to each side. Relax. Just feeling the increased vibrations. If you happen to feel any saliva in the mouth, you can just understand that as the water vibration. If you're feeling any internal body warmth, heat element, heat vibration. Now keeping the feet apart, we'll do the forward and backward bending. So on an out breath, bend forward, let the hands come down to the knees, keep the head up, looking out straight ahead, and flatten the spine. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. Let the head go back, gently bend backwards on the out breath. In breath, up. Again, out breath forward. Let the hands come down below the knees. Still keep the head up. Flatten the spine. Feel the stretch in the back of your legs. In breath, up. Again, the back bend, out breath. In. Third time, let the hands come down toward the feet as far as you can, and then hold that position longer, feeling the stretch in the back of your leg. Stretching the muscles will produce, all kind of sensations, vibrations, being activated cells. In breath, lift up. Once more, the back bend, be careful. In breath, lift up. The out breath, just relax. So in doing the yoga exercises, it might activate the air element because the various bending and stretchings will cause the air in the body to move. So it might come out the backside as sounds, or other pressures and so on. So you can understand that as the air element. Okay, now bring the feet back together. Feel the whole body. Start to feel like the whole body has been kind of washed and bathed with activated life force vibrations through the deep breathing and the stretching. Just allowing the mind to have a greater present moment awareness. So many different sensations. Standing, standing. Okay, so we'll get ready to have our sitting meditation. Okay, friends, so just try to get comfortable in the sitting posture. Try to keep the spine and the head, back of the head in a straight line. Try to find the center of gravity of the head and spine over the hips. That'd be that tipping point where the body could either tip backwards or forward. Gently close the eyes. Now bring your total attention down to feel where the buttocks press the seat. You can just feel that solid contact, that weight of the body pressing the floor. Solid feeling. Just understand that as the earth vibration. And feel your feet and toes underneath, where the feet touch the floor. If you're wearing socks, the socks touching the skin, where the toes touch together. All those are also earth vibrations. If you listen very closely, you might feel the pulse of blood in your heels or other parts of the feet. You could sort of imagine or understand as being the blood or the water element, the fluid element pulsing through the body. You might feel some warmth there, the heat element, heat vibration. Now move the attention up to feel your hands and fingers. So where the hands and fingers touch together or touch the body, the earth vibration. Feel some warmth in the hands, heat vibration. Also the pulse of blood, the fluid vibration. And feel the stomach area, feel the expanding or contracting of the abdomen or stomach from the breathing process, the air or movement vibration. You might take a couple of deeper breaths. Understanding that's the air going in and out of the body. Then you also have the clothing touching the skin of the stomach, your chest, which is the earth vibration. Now moving the attention up to the face to feel the sensations on your face. And feel the lips touch together. Softer touch, still the earth element. The lips touching together, earth vibration. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth. Also the earth vibration. Then lightly press the teeth together to feel that hard bone. Also the earth vibration. So many qualities or intensities of the earth vibration. Very hard, very soft touches. But then we identify those vibrations as being my teeth touching, or my lips touching, my tongue in the mouth. Those are perceptions created by the mind from those bare vibrations. Now focus on the nostrils and take a few deep, slow breaths. And feel that flow of air through the nostrils into the lungs. You might even hear the sound if you breathe deep enough. And on the out breath, it's just the air element, the air vibration, movement vibration. But the air element going into the body keeps this body alive, activates the water element, the earth element, heat element. So when the air element goes out of the body for the last time, all the other elements begin to dry up and stop with death. Now move the attention to feel the eyes and the socket. The eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. That feeling of the eyes, the eyelids, also the earth vibration. If you feel the eye movements, the subtle eye movements, that's the air vibration causing movement. Of course, in the eye ducts, there's the water element that might produce tears. Now just let the awareness rest behind the eyes, feeling the eyes, and feeling the other sensation, the awareness. It's the mental eye. We have a fleshy eye that sees objects, but we have a mental eye, the eye of awareness that can feel. Just turn on the video camera awareness, the inner awareness. You can feel all the sensations, vibrations in the head and face. Just try to see how many different little sensations you could notice in the whole head or face. They're always changing. What are these vibrations anyway? It's the vibrations of the cells, the molecules, atoms or electrons. The ultimate breakdown of this body is reduced to its smallest particles. It would just be cells, molecules, atoms. You can't even see, just energy, condensed energy. Just try to get a sense of that. Also just allow the awareness to expand, feel the rest of the body. It's like putting on the wide angle lens, the awareness expand out to feel the outline of the body, of the sitting posture. Just feeling all the sensations, vibrations from all those different parts of the body, whichever take your attention. You should be able to just try to maintain that feeling of that outline of the posture, to feel the head above, the feet below, arms or hands in between, the breathing or heart beating in the middle, all those four elemental vibrations. And that's really all you can feel through the skin sense. If you identify a body part, that's perception, that's the memory. Our first contact of the world is vibration. It don't mean much. Only when you identify these vibrations as being parts of the body, these parts are on the larger whole body. This body belongs to me. That's the evolution of individuality. Creation of a person. Just investigate that with your concentrated awareness. If you hear any sound, those are just sound vibrations, which is just air and heat, a combination of the elements. Or if you smell something or see something, or if you see a mind vibration, or if a thought comes into the mind, that's a mental vibration. You can get attached to your own mental vibrations, like opinions, ideas, likes or dislikes. These are just mental vibrations. Floating through the space of awareness. The attachment to any of these aggregate vibration, feeling, perception, thoughts, consciousness, even the thought of I or me or mine is just a mental vibration within the present moment awareness. If you have any pains in the body, you can see how the mind tries to locate that pain in a body part. Pain is just a vibration arising within consciousness. Then the mind identifies and locates that pain, saying pain in my knee or foot, in this body. This is my body. When actually it's just a vibration floating through a formless space of present moment awareness. Seeing with the eye of wisdom. That sound vibration moving through the awareness, stirring up perception, turning that vibration into the idea. Meditation is over now, which is just the thought and the mind. Sabbi sankhara anicchati. Sabbi sankhara dukkati. Sabbi dhamma anattati. Yada panyaya pasati. Atane bindati dukhi. Isamago visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to pass away and vanish. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha. To finish the meditations, just spend the last minute or two just doing deep, slow breathing with each out breath, just sending out these thoughts of friendliness, best wishes to all living beings, especially breathing in the air element, holding the air in the lungs, to feel those vibrations, which is like metta to your own body and mind. Just cultivating these thoughts. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. May all beings be free from the pains and sufferings, self-created sufferings of the mind. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to deepen their understanding of the Dhamma and to practice meditation to free the mind from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate emptiness of all things, the illusion of the ego. May all beings be well, peaceful, and why. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Now, if you like, you can join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly, doing the chanting on a long out breath. Place the hands at the edge of the knees. Take one more deep, slow breath. Stretch the head back, pulling the hands against the knees. Arch the spine. And lift the head up, and on an out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebrae. In breath, lifting the head up level. The out breath, relax. Put a smile on the face. Okay, friends. I hope you're able to follow that meditation and try to get some insights into the nature of elemental vibrations. I know it's not it's an easy meditation because it requires a person to have already, developed some level of mindfulness and concentration. But try to continue meditation during the week. Don't forget the mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. Sutta a day keeps delusions away. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya Bhante.
Namo Buddhaya Bhante.
Namo Buddhaya Bhante.
Namo Buddhaya Bhante.
I hope you're all enjoying this the oncoming spring weather. Okay, so we'll see you again on Sunday or next Wednesday. And stay well. Namo Buddhaya.
You too, stay well.
Thank you, Bhante.